You ever notice how the people with the least sense seem to have the most power? Yeah, it's funny. Until you realize they're the ones making the rules you have to live by. The smart ones, the thinkers, the quiet observers, they're in libraries, labs, or late-night thoughts trying to figure out how to make the world better. Meanwhile, the loud, overconfident, underqualified folks, they're on stage, in charge, making decisions for everyone. The world doesn't reward wisdom, it rewards volume. Smart people think, they analyze, question, hesitate. They doubt themselves because they know how much they don't know. Dumb people, they don't have that problem. They're too sure of themselves to be bothered by logic. They march right up to the podium, say whatever pops into their heads, and somehow the crowd cheers. Because confidence looks like competence when you don't know the difference. That's the cruel joke of society. The thinker hesitates. The fool dominates. The thinker weighs possibilities. The fool declares certainty. And guess what? People love certainty. They crave someone who sounds sure even if that person doesn't have a clue. The truth doesn't matter anymore. Delivery does. You can be wrong loud and popular or right quiet and ignored. Guess which one wins elections, runs companies, and writes policies? The smart mind says, let's test this idea. The dumb mind says, I'm right, end of story. The smart one wants evidence, the dumb one wants applause, and the applause is louder, always louder. Because the crowd isn't thinking, they're reacting, and that's how the game is played. The thinkers are too busy trying to make sense of the madness to realize that the madness is what rules. You see it everywhere, politics, business, even social media, the ones with depth, with nuance, with perspective. They're buried under the noise of those who mastered the art of pretending to know everything. Society doesn't pay attention to the thinkers until it's too late, until the plane crashes, the economy collapses, or the system breaks. Then suddenly they look for the smart people to fix it. But by then the damage is done. Smart minds create solutions. Dumb minds create slogans. The thinker says, here's the complex truth. The commander says, here's what you want to hear. Guess which one trends faster? Guess which one sells? Humanity doesn't run on reason. It runs on comfort. And dumb leaders provide comfort, even if it's built on lies. They don't lead with wisdom. They lead with fear, ego, and illusion. But here's the irony: society needs both. The thinkers invent, the fools implement. The thinkers imagine the future, and the fools sell it. It's a balance, though a frustrating one. Without thinkers, there's no progress. Without commanders, yes, even dumb ones, there's no movement. The real problem begins when the loud stop listening to the wise, and the wise stop speaking up. Maybe the world isn't broken because dumb people command. Maybe it's broken because smart people stopped fighting for the microphone. They decided the noise wasn't worth it. But silence is a price, and it's paid in chaos. So here's a thought. Maybe it's time the thinkers learn to speak louder. Maybe intelligence doesn't need to whisper anymore. Because while dumb minds command, smart minds still have the power to shape what comes next, if they dare to step out of the shadows and make the noise mean something. You ever notice how the world seems to have this twisted sense of justice? The guy who knows the least always sounds the most confident. He's out there waving his arms, smiling like he's got all the answers, and people just love it. They eat it up. Because who doesn't like a little certainty? People don't want truth. Truth is messy. They want a confident voice to tell them, relax, I've got it all figured out. Never mind that this guy couldn't find his way out of a paper bag with a flashlight and a GPS. Confidence beats competence every single time. You can have a genius in the room quietly solving the mysteries of the universe, but if some loudmouth strolls in with a grin and a catchphrase, the crowd will turn and say, now that's a leader. We've been programmed like circus animals to follow whoever sounds the most sure of themselves. Doesn't matter if they're right. Doesn't even matter if they've read a book in the last 20 years. Just talk loud, act bold, and boom, you're in charge. It's like we've mistaken noise for knowledge. Somewhere along the line, volume became the new IQ test. You ever meet someone who talks so confidently that you start to doubt your own reality? You're thinking, wait a second? Maybe they are right, even though 5 minutes ago you knew they were full of it. That's the magic of misplaced confidence. It hypnotizes people, makes them think ignorance is leadership. Smart people, they think, they hesitate, they go, let's examine the data, they take time to understand things. Meanwhile, the confident dummy just goes, I already know, and people cheer. Because that's what people want to hear, someone who knows. Even if he doesn't. Especially if he doesn't, because if he doesn't know, he can say anything, and it sounds good. You know what the worst part is? The confident fool never doubts himself. Never! You could hand him a 300-page report proving he's wrong, and he'll still look you dead in the eye and say, that's your opinion. No, it's reality. But he doesn't care. Reality bends for confidence. Like the universe itself says, well, he said it like he means it, so maybe he's right. Meanwhile, the competent guy is sitting there double-checking his math, sweating, wondering if his commas are in the right place. He's got self-doubt because he's smart. He knows enough to know there's more to know. The fool, oh, he's done learning. He learned everything he needed to know back in 4th grade and decided that was enough to run a company, start a religion, and maybe write a book about success. Confidence is the great equalizer of stupidity. It's like spray paint for the mind, covers up all the cracks so no one sees how empty it is underneath. You don't need depth when you've got volume. Just shout your nonsense with enough passion and people will mistake it for wisdom. It's everywhere, at the office, at family dinners, in classrooms, on TV. You've seen it. The confident guy walks in, says something ridiculous like, we don't need experts, we need action. And everyone nods like it's poetry. The smart guy starts explaining why that's dangerous, and suddenly everyone's yawning. Too many words, buddy. Keep it simple. Yeah, keep it simple so we can stay stupid. That's the motto of the confident incompetent. Confidence has become this magic costume people wear to hide their insecurities. You put on that confident grin, puff out your chest, and suddenly you're the alpha. Doesn't matter if you have IQ of a breadstick. People will salute you if you act like you own the room. You could tell them the moon's made of cheese. And as long as you say it like you mean it, someone will start building a sandwich shop on Mars. You see it in meetings and conversations in life. People gravitate toward confidence because it feels safe. It feels decisive. Nobody wants to follow the person who says, I'm not entirely sure, even though that's the most honest answer. No, they want the guy who says, I know exactly what to do, and then drives the car straight into a wall. Confidence gives people comfort. It's the mental blanket for the masses. They think, well, if he's so sure, he must know something. No, he doesn't. He just doesn't care if he's wrong. That's the secret. Confidence isn't about knowing. It's about not caring. The confident fool is too busy talking to listen, too busy being right to ever be right. And the funny thing, when they fail, they don't even flinch. They'll look at the disaster they created and say, it's not my fault. Oh no, never their fault. They'll blame the weather, the timing, the alignment of the planets, anything but their own lack of sense. And you'd think people would learn, but nope. Next time around, they pick the same type of leader, the same loud confidence, and hope for a different outcome. That's humanity's favorite pastime, mistaking confidence for competence. We've been doing it since the beginning of civilization. The first caveman to say, I can control fire, probably burned half the tribe's hair off, but he said it with such certainty. They made him chief. At end of part 1. Next part continues seamlessly with more satire on confidence overpowering truth, social examples, and the psychology behind why people follow the confident over the competent. And it hasn't changed much since the caveman days. The only difference now is that the cave got bigger, the fire got fancier, and the confident idiot got a microphone. You give a fool a microphone, and suddenly he's an expert on everything, politics, health, economics, you name it. He doesn't even need facts. He's got phrases. He's got those magic words that sound deep but mean absolutely nothing. We need to move forward. Forward where? Nobody knows, but it sounds strong, doesn't it? People don't want answers. They want assurance. They want someone to pat their head and say, don't worry, I've got this. Confidence is the world's favorite bedtime story. It tucks you in, kisses your forehead, and tells you everything's going to be okay, even while the house is on fire. And the funny part is we all fall for it. You, me, everyone. We hear someone speak with that bold tone, that swagger, that I'm so sure attitude, and part of our brain just shuts down. We go, he must know. Because if he didn't, why would he sound so sure? I'll tell you why, because he doesn't know enough to doubt himself. Doubt is a sign of intelligence. It means you're thinking, questioning, analyzing. Dumb people don't have that problem. They skip right over doubt and go straight to decision. They live in this beautiful, blissful bubble of certainty, and people love them for it. Nobody wants to follow the guy who says, I could be wrong. No, they want the one who says, I'm never wrong, even when he's wrong every single time. And you've seen this happen in every corner of life, the workplace. Oh, it's the breeding ground for confident incompetence. You've got that one guy, you know him, never on time, never prepared, but somehow always in charge. He's got that magic tone. Don't worry, folks, I got it handled. Then he forgets what even was. Meanwhile, the quiet woman in the corner has a 20-page plan that could actually solve the problem. But no one asks her why. Because she doesn't look like she's in charge. She's not loud enough. She's not walking around with that superhero posture. That's how humans judge capability. By posture. If you stand straight, talk loud, and don't blink, congratulations, you're a genius. You could be selling air to a drowning man, and he'd buy it because you said it with confidence. You can't even argue with these people? Try it sometime. Argue with a confident fool. It's like playing chess with a pigeon. You can set up your best logic, your best facts, your clean reasoning, and the pigeon will just knock over all the pieces, poop on the board, and strut around like it won. Confidence protects stupidity like armor. You can't penetrate it. You bring up evidence, studies, data. They just smile and say, well, that's your opinion. That phrase right there is the national anthem of the confidently clueless. They could be staring at gravity in action, watch an apple fall from a tree, and still say, well, that's your version of physics. But here's where it gets tragic. The smart people see this, and it drives them nuts. They sit there thinking, maybe I should be more confident. Maybe I should talk louder. But that's not in their wiring. Smart people live in a world of nuance. They can't flatten everything into slogans. They can't just say, everything's simple, because they know it's not. They know the truth has layers, complications, contradictions. But the crowd doesn't want layers. The crowd wants certainty. A nice, simple yes. Oh, no. That's why the confident fool always wins the crowd. He gives them the illusion of clarity. He doesn't say, this might take years. He says, well, fix it by Tuesday. He doesn't say, I already need more research. He says, I already know what to do. And people cheer. They don't even ask. Do you have a plan? They just like how it sounds. Confidence has this hypnotic power. It's like a magic trick. Say something with enough conviction, and people stop hearing the content. They just feel the energy. That's why confidence sells everything from toothpaste to ideology. You don't need to be right. You just need to sound like you are. And the irony. Half the confident people don't even realize how little they know. They're not pretending. They're genuinely convinced they're experts because they've never questioned themselves long enough to find out otherwise. Meanwhile, the smart ones spend their lives questioning everything, and they end up looking insecure. Because in this world, curiosity looks like weakness, and ignorance looks like leadership. We're all guilty of this sometimes. We trust the confident mechanic who says, I'll fix it, no problem, over the cautious one who says, well, it depends on the part. We hire the boldest job applicant, not the most qualified. We vote for the loudest speaker, not the most thoughtful thinker. Confidence wins the room before competence even gets a chance to enter it. You ever see someone completely wrong but absolutely sure? It's fascinating. They'll mispronounce a word, use it in a wrong sentence, and then correct you for saying it right. No, that's not how it's said. Oh, really? It's been said that way for 400 years. But sure, let's go with your version. Captain Confidence. The confident fool lives in a self-made kingdom where facts are optional and certainty is law. And you can't beat that with logic. Logic bounces off confidence like ping-pong balls off a tank. You try to reason, they interrupt. You show proof, they smile, you quote a source, they quote their cousin. And somehow the cousin wins. That's the power of tone. People don't process words, they process energy. You say with a grin, a nod, and a booming voice, boom, you're the new prophet. You could walk into a room, say, water is dry, and as long as you sound sure, someone will clap. It's strange, isn't it? People don't even realize they're attracted to confidence. It's like some ancient reflex still left in our wiring. Back in the old days, if someone stood up tall, spoke loud, and pointed in a direction, everyone followed. They thought, well, he seems sure. Let's go that way. And maybe that made sense when the biggest problem was fineries or avoiding a bear. But now that instinct just gets us into meetings, elections, and social disasters. We're still following the loudest one in the room, even when the loudest one has no map. You ever watch a group of people trying to decide something simple, like where to eat? One person says, I don't know, maybe Italian. Another says, I'm fine with anything. Then there's that guy, you know the one. He slams his hands together and says, we're getting burgers. And just like that, it's settled. Nobody even argues. Why? Because he sounded so sure. It's like his tone hypnotized them into submission. And then when they're halfway through a soggy burger, someone finally goes, wait, didn't we all want pasta? Too late. Confidence wins again. The truth is, most people are scared of uncertainty. It makes them uncomfortable. So when someone speaks with total conviction, it feels like safety. It doesn't matter if that confidence is completely hollow. It feels solid. And people crave that feeling more than truth. Truth takes effort. You've got to dig for it, question it, challenge it. Confidence, that's easy. You just nod and let it guide you. You ever notice the confident ones always have catchphrases ready? Trust me. It's simple. I got this. Oh, they love that one. I got this. They don't even know what this is, but they've got it. Meanwhile, the competent person is in the corner thinking, well, maybe we should evaluate the risks. And everyone else rolls their eyes. Because who wants to hear about risks when there's a confident voice saying, relax, everything's fine. It's the same reason we buy stuff we don't need. You ever seen those old commercials? The salesman doesn't say, well, this product has pros and cons. No, he looks right at the camera, smiles, and says, you need this. Boom, wallet opens. Because confidence sells what logic can't. It doesn't explain, it declares. And people love declarations. They sound like destiny. The confident fool always sounds like he's narrating a victory speech, even if he's standing in a swamp. He'll say, "This is where it all begins," while his boots are sinking in the mud. And everyone around him nods because, hey, he said it like a movie hero. Confidence also gives people permission to stop thinking. And thinking, let's face it, is exhausting. The brain burns calories, and people are lazy even at the molecular level. So when someone else takes charge with that smooth, commanding tone, it's like the room exhales. Finally, someone who knows what they're doing. They don't know if he actually does, but that's not the point. They just want to stop feeling uncertain. And it's not that confident people are always malicious. No, some of them genuinely believe their own nonsense. They're like human megaphones for bad ideas. They wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, "You're brilliant." And you know what? They believe it. They don't even need results. Self-belief is their breakfast. Smart people can't do that. They look in the mirror and go, "Well, that depends." They start analyzing their own reflection. What do I really mean by brilliant? In what context? And by the time they're done, the confident fool has already convinced 5 people to follow him into traffic. It's funny but also sad because smart people end up working for the confident fools. The thinker builds the plan, the talker sells it. The thinker says, "Wait, this could go wrong." The talker says, "Don't be negative." And when it goes wrong, guess who gets blamed? Not the confident one. Oh no, he'll say, "My team didn't execute properly." Always the team's fault. Always someone else's fault. Confidence means never saying you're sorry. And the crowd buys it. They go, "Yeah, maybe he's right. Maybe the others messed up." The confident fool doesn't just fool himself. He fools everyone else too, because he speaks the universal language of certainty. It doesn't matter if he's wrong in every language. If he sounds sure, people translate it as truth. There's this strange comfort people get from being told what to think. It's like mental fast food, cheap, fast and bad for you, but it tastes good in the moment. A confident person hands you conclusions wrapped in shiny packaging. No need to think, no need to wonder, no need to doubt. Here's the truth, they say, and people bite right in. The smart person, meanwhile, hands you a question and says, "What do you think?" And the crowd groans, "Oh, great. Homework." That's why thinkers rarely become icons. They make people think, and people hate that. Confidence doesn't make you think, it makes you feel. And feelings are addictive. You can't compete with that. Logic might save you, but confidence will seduce you. And here's the wild part. When confident people fail, they still win. They just change the story. It wasn't a mistake. It was part of the plan. We didn't fail. We learned. Oh, they're masters of rebranding failure. They could sink a ship and call it an underwater experiment. They never lose. They just redefine losing as a form of progress. Meanwhile, the competent person is sitting there analyzing what went wrong, taking responsibility, and people think, "Whoa, he doesn't seem very confident." Of course not. He's dealing with reality, but reality doesn't trend well. Confidence does. So the confident fools rise higher, and the smart ones stay buried under their own humility, because the world mistakes humility for weakness and arrogance for strength. And the best part, the confident fool doesn't even notice the irony. He'll be standing on top of a pile of failed ideas, waving a flag of victory, shouting, "See, I told you it would work.